It's still January 9th, 2023. It is 1:03 p.m. Just an update for the FBI. Y'all need to look into the Urban Youth League, you know what I mean? And one particular case worker you need to look into is the woman Tiana. I'm not sure what her last name is. She was a case manager of my son back in 2019. And my son had reported to her that there was some residents that she also was the case manager of that lived on the property where she went to do a home visit with my son. And he was trying to tell her that he was being pretty much bullied and they was trying to jump my son. And he was trying to tell her, but because, of them trying to cover up other things that they were doing in the judicial system prior to me, being on the scene and being able to, see everything that was going on, because he was over here pretty much by himself while everybody thought that they was just going to gang up on him. They wanted to, have him committed. So Tiana took my son to a police station, and from there, the police took my son to a hospital where they injected him with a lot of medications while my son was trying to tell them what was going on, and they was calling him crazy. And then they eventually admitted him into a psychiatric ward. It was supposed to be for a 72-hour hold, but he winded up getting out 96 hours later. And that only reason why that is because when they finally did let my son use the phone, he contacted me and let me know what they was doing to him and how they was pumping him up with medications and having him taking all types of pills every time he tried to speak to someone. It was a psychiatrist there that was talking to my son. And, he was telling them, like, yo, this is what was going on with me. And they tried to keep him medicated and, like, saying that he was out of his mind and all of this other stuff. So I had to call and go up the higher chain of command inside of the psychiatric unit and pretty much tell them, like, yo, y'all are illegally holding my son because, he was brought here under false pretense. And eventually, when I started telling them, like, yo, I'm going to get a lawyer involved and, you guys are going to be brought up on this, which is still in the making, that's when they finally had released my child, out of that psychiatric ward. And then, they had him, off and marked off as paranoid, schizophrenic, and all of this other stuff that they had him deemed. And that was clearly not the case. But because, they wanted to continue on with the agenda that they set out for whatever Craig Williams put out in the universe, about my son and all of this other stuff, because they wanted to steal from him. And Craig was pissed off with me about the paternity situation. He, put it into the minds of these people here and had them thinking, that what he was saying was true. And because Craig has backing of Juan Frederick being a police officer in Hamilton, New Jersey at the time, which was married to Angela Frederick, they work their magic and shit like that. Elizabeth Williams, and she married, and her last name is Bethia now. They all had a hand in, making that shit happen. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I remember, in 2021, they had brought Chris, which was another case manager of my son's, had brought my son to my residence or whatever to talk to me. And I had met and I spoke with Chris, and I had let him know what was going on and how they was, trying to paint my son out to be something that he wasn't. He was a nice gentleman or whatever, but I don't know if he was a part of the agenda too. But I'm putting it and I'm documenting it that y'all FBI workers that have been looking into some things, y'all need to go and investigate the Urban Youth League and look into Tiana and what she had going on. Look into DPD and find out all of what they have going on, because I'm going to be writing into the internal affairs and some other people of a higher ranking, because I already contacted the FBI and let them know and submitted documentation of the things that had been done as far as hacking my computers and things like that. And yeah, so Craig had winded up, trying to befriend my son, and he had gave him a TV and everything like that, which I believe has a legal monitoring device in it. And I just had went to go see my son on Christmas Day because he came to my apartment to come get me to help him move the girl Ijavia Hoax, his ex-girlfriend's stuff out of his apartment to take over to her apartment. I had to call the police. I documented that as well. And it looked as though someone had broken into my son's apartment because I had gave him a lock to change his lock so that they wouldn't be able to come and go as they please. It's cameras on the property, and the landlord's name is Adam. I don't know what his last name is, but I remember at one point in time in 2019, I had went to go visit my son, and my son had his friend Richard, and Richard's she was pregnant at the time, his child's mother, I think her name was Maya, something like that, over, and I had cooked us dinner and everything, and the dude that lived in number 9, the Spanish dude, he was a little mentally disturbed or whatever, and he had came and was like taunting my son. So my son and Richard had came outside because they thought that the boy was trying to attack me, and I was just trying to get the young man to go back over to his apartment, which I had eventually walked him over and let his people know what was going on. And when we were in front of my son's apartment, like, I was on the phone with Adam letting him know what was going on, like, yo, this is what's going on, you need to check these cameras or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what type of manipulation that they did with the camera work and what type of stuff and what type of time Adam and Tiana and all of them had going on. But yeah, they tried to make it something that it wasn't. And now, it's a whole big old fiasco going on. Then my son had lost his job. Like, Tiana and all of them been putting in all types of crazy stuff to make my son purposefully lose his job and trying to put him in an unhealthy mental state when it came to all of the things, because they was attacking him left and right. And then by me speaking up and calling out to the psychiatric people, then they started, trying to gang stalk and monitor me. I ain't scared of none of y'all. Y'all need to cut it the hell out and get y'all lives together and stop lying all of the damn time. You know what I mean? It's the time for reckoning. It's 2023 and ain't nobody dealing with y'all bullshit no more. Y'all need to just cut it out and stop doing all of this bullshit that y'all doing. Y'all got the police, judges, and lawyers, and fucking DEAs and sheriffs and all of this shit involved in y'all shenanigans, all for a fucking pay raise, a cut of money, Like I said, my son was working for a company, like in the early, like I think it was like 2014, 2015, something like that. He was working for a company called Synergy, and he was doing like private home situation, and it was this lady that he had worked for that I had winded up talking to, and she was a nice lady or whatever, and she was saying how her family, was treating her bad and didn't come see her and all of this other stuff, and how she had wanted to leave a truck and the home that she owned to my son because she said she didn't believe that her family deserved it. And then all of a sudden, all of this crazy shenanigery started going on. My son had came for 2017 to come visit us in Salem for Christmas, and he had brought his friend Richard with him for that Christmas time, on his Christmas break or whatever. And then he had came back over here. And then 2018, when they had went to this house party or whatever of Richard's cousin or something like that, and there was a whole bunch of crap going on where the police had Richard surrounded with the guns, and my son was scared that the police was going to kill Richard or whatever. So I sent the money that I had saved up for my car to my son so that he could drive himself back to Salem, you know what I mean? And he came over there, he got a job at Walmart. He had got a transfer from the Walmart here where he was working at to the Walmart in Salem. And then because of prejudice and things like that, they had fired my son. I had to call up there and find out what was going on. The people told me pretty much to mind my business. My son was grown and all of this other stuff. Like that stuff was documented as well. You know what I mean? Of all of the foolery that they had going on. It's just been a lot that me and my children have been experiencing when it comes to family, my exes, and judicial systems and things like that, where they have been trying to build a case. Just like I think my aunt and them had paid a freaking investigator to come out to my mom's house when we stayed on Elm Street in Salem or whatever. Like, it's just been a whole bunch of crazy shit because my grandmother passed in June of 2019. I believe and I know that it was a life insurance policy because my uncle was the power of attorney over my grandmother. So I don't know whether they had continued to pay the life insurance or whatever. My grandmother passed away. They had went and did a court case talking about I was crazy. I was not competent to take care of myself. My mom was down with it. My aunt, her boyfriend, my cousins, and all of these people. You know what I mean? They paying people to do all of these crazy ass acts against me and my children and shit like that. Craig and his dumb ass family was doing all of that. My mom and her dumb ass family. Then on my so-called father's side, fucking Melina Jackson and fucking all of them on that, and my Uncle Derek and Aunt Londi and all of them, Uncle Carl, Uncle Sid. All of them was over there doing the crazy shenanery. They had already dicked my dad when he passed away. They ain't even paid for his services and nothing that they agreed to when they went out, to meet with the guy that was doing the service for my father. Annette and Derek went back down to Maryland and left Melina stuck with whatever the heck to pay for my dad's ashes and all of this other shit. Like, they just been off on some old crazy ass funky time bullshit. They pay her little scary ass to lie and shit like that. Like, y'all need to get a life. Y'all need to get it together, for real. Stop lying. And whatever it is that's rightfully, universally mine, y'all need to just get that shit the fuck back. And I done stole houses, money, and everything. I know about y'all making the transfers, and I know about the lawyers, wiring y'all money and all types of crazy shit. Y'all need to stop. Just stop.